is Guido Trinidad. I get to be the moderator for this awesome panel discussion that we're about to have with what we're calling the Champs panel. As I mentioned earlier, I'm kind of like rename that to Legends panel because these guys are legends. So first, I'd like to call up this young woman. Let's see. I'm just refreshing my mind on the years that she won the games. But my memory also serves me not only the years that she won the games, but the years that she attended the games prior and after. She's just an icon in the space. She got known really for her big, just authentic smile. She won the games in 2011 and 12, has been on the podium multiple times after that. Let's give a nice warm welcome to her and her baby in her belly, Annie Thorisdottir. Yeah. Let's go. Thanks for being here. All right, sit anywhere you like. All right. Next, we have someone hailing from same country, all right, and has won the games equal amount of times as well. She, Snow Dog, is that what they call her? Is that the Sled Dog? That's the nickname. I'm sorry, I'm bad with nicknames. But it's an honor to have her. She's also been on the podium multiple times after as well, and we're just excited to have her here today. She won the games in 2015 and 16. Let's welcome Katrin, Davidsdottir. Yeah. Not Snow Dog, Sled Dog. Love it. Thanks for being here. All right. Let's see. All right, next. This guy has an awesome story. I could talk for days about each of these individuals, but what's really cool is that before he made the podium at the games, he made a podium here at Wodapalooza as a teenager, then continued to take that hard work ethic and win the games 2 years back to back in 2021, 2022. Let's welcome Justin Medeiros. Let's go. Justin. Excited to have you here, buddy. Thank you, all right? All right. And last but certainly not least, we have the reigning champion hailing from Montreal, Canada. His name is Jeff Adler, 2023 CrossFit Games champion. Showing all the goods today. He is not flexing. That is how he looks all the time. What's up? Good to have you, buddy. All right. All right. I'm going to sit right here in the middle. You guys are going to have an opportunity to ask some questions here at the end. We have some scripted ones. We may go a little off script, but it's just meant to really have a authentic, just cool conversation. Anything goes here. But before we start asking questions, I really just want to take a second to honor you guys. I don't know what it's like to sit at the top of the podium. I do know what it's like to train for that, but I don't know what it's like to achieve that. And so I'm here representing everyone else and saying, man, we're all fans of you guys for two reasons. Number one, because you've reached the pinnacle of this sport that we all practice and play on a daily basis and has changed and shaped our lives. So there's something admirable to achieving what you achieved, not only in that day, but also in the work that came to be throughout the process, right? So if anyone's asking you for an autograph, it's probably not only because of what you did on that day to win, but I think most importantly, and what I really want to honor you guys is the life that you've led and the things that you had to say yes to, the hard things you had to say yes to, and the hard things that you had to say no to have really shaped the person and the people that you guys are. And I think that's even more admirable because that's the type of impact, that's the type of role model that I want my kids to follow. Say, hey, I want to be like Annie, I want to be like Katrin. I don't want them to be like you because they're girls, but that's another topic. But yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for who you are. You guys are great ambassadors and representatives of this community. Can we give them one big round of applause, please? Yeah, you're welcome. Cool, so I'm going to start off with the ladies. Ladies go first. They've also been in the game longer than these two men over here. And so my first question is really related to like your guys' journey has been, God, I mean, I think you guys are like pre-Reebok, pre-Instagram, like so many things that have had to have happened in the course of the last 12, 13 years. You guys have been competing at a really high level. And I think longevity is sometimes not necessarily rewarded as much as like, okay, you reached the pinnacle. So I'm curious, like these days, right, where you're still like You look just as fit. You're performing just as good as you were back in the day. What keeps you motivated? What keeps you excited to continue to compete, to train as hard as you do?
So I think it's kind of wild that I've been doing this for 12 years now. I feel like I was a teenager that came into the sport. I was the young one. I was the one that everybody's like, what, you're 18? How? I could be your dad. And this year, Noble did a piece on me and Emma Lawson. And I'm like the older, mature, been in the game for so long. And I'm like, when did this flip? And my motivation is still the same. You look at interviews to me when I was in 2015, and they ask what motivates me and how long I'm going to be in the sport. And my answer was always, if I feel like I can get better, that excites me. When I see room for improvement, that excites me. And I always wanted to fill these buckets of I still see potential here and I still see potential here. And I still haven't filled that. And I still have so much more that I feel like I'm still improving. Even just at this last year's games, with the first games out of my 10 games, I was like, I think we unlocked something with muscle ups. And I'm like, oh, cool, let's keep working on that. And so I'm still feeling those feelings, and so we're still going.
That's good. It's so good. I think that's what keeps us going back to the box, right? It's like, you got your first pull-up. Can I do 5? Can I do 10? And to see someone that has achieved the pinnacle and still stays that hungry, that's super admirable.
Yeah, I think very similar for me is that I still feel like there's more potential there. And that makes you excited and that keeps you going. But then also just figuring out your why every single year. And I think what changed it for me was I'm not going to put a time cap or a timeline on how many years I'm going to do this for. If you would have asked me 2012, 2014, whatever, how many more years you're going to do this for, there's no way I would have said 10 more years. No way. I would have said maybe 2 or 3, because just the mental strain it would take on me thinking that I need to do this for 5 more years, there's no way I'll be able to do 1 more. So for me, it's been every single year. So I think it's funny. I always get asked, are you doing another year? Am I doing another year after this, baby? I don't know. If I feel great, if I feel motivated, if my body and my mind allows me to, I'm not going to deny myself that, as long as it doesn't come down on my family or destroy my body. But that means that I am doing it because I want to do it. I'm doing it because I feel like I can continue to do something and give something. However, I am never going to compete at the games to participate because I've gotten to experience participating. So now, if I compete again, it means that I'm trying to win the CrossFit Games. It means that I still have a feeling that I can do that. So 1 year at a time for me has been what changed my mindset.
Yeah, I love that approach. I think it's a healthy approach as well, because you don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to be like, I want to do this for another 10 years, and just take it year by year. What about you guys? You guys have been in the games a little less times than they have. What is your approach like to try to elongate your career as long as possible, but also optimize every single year and make it your best?
Yeah, I mean,
A little closer.
I've only won once. All these guys have won already twice. Okay, there we go. I've won only once, so my motivation is actually to get to 2. Would be nice. But I don't know either how many years I have left. I'm in the young guys, but I'm still 29. There's some guys like Pat that are still doing this and are very competitive, and they're older than me. So how many years do I have left? I don't know. But I'm for sure every year going to try now, especially, to go for minimum a podium, if not to win the CrossFit Games. And I'm going to try to do it for as long as my body can do it.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I had started CrossFit in 2012, so I am young, but I've been doing it for a decent amount of time now. But I think it was always just super cool for me to qualify for a regional event. I'm like, man, that is awesome. Like, that's like one step below the pinnacle, you know? And going to college, I was like, man, if I could qualify for the CrossFit Games, that would be like bucket list, you know? So busted, like, worked so hard, was able to qualify, and then obviously I've been on the podium 3 times now, and like every year I think I never would have thought that was possible. So I think just for me is I've always enjoyed the process. I've always been in sport. I've always enjoyed pushing myself, and every year I feel like I can be better than I was the previous, and as long as I can keep checking that box, like, I'm gonna keep going.
I love it, man. Well, we hope you guys continue to do it for long years, and I think it's also really cool sometimes to see some of the guys that have competed on the floor and then eventually transition into masters if that's something that they feel is like, you know, in their deck of cards for that year, and take it year by year, kind of with Annie's approach. I want to transition into chatting a little bit about, you know, how the community has played a role in your guys' career, right? Because I think what's different about this sport and other sports, I'm a big football guy, grew up playing football all my life, but I don't have like a relationship with the people that were watching me and cheering me on besides my family, right? But here, the guys that are in the fans are the guys that we're doing life with as well, and they're part of our community. And I'd like to believe that that's part of the reason why you guys come to an event like this, is besides the fact that it's fun, but it feels really like homey, right? Like the community's here. And so I would like to hear your guys' take on, you know, what does community mean to you, and how has it served you in your journey?
Well, yeah, I used to think, oh, ladybug. Sorry, it was a ladybug. So I used to try to stay away from this event because I was like, there are so many people, and there's no way that I'll get to like get a good experience being a part of that if you're trying to compete or whatever. And then Kat convinced me to come here. And after that, I've been here every single year. Like, this is probably one of my favorite events to come to, whether it's to compete or just be at. Because when I'm competing, it's always a little bit stressful, especially if it's like semis or the CrossFit Games. And in those moments, I try to talk with people and get to be a part of it, but it's always like run for recovery and make sure that you get the rest that you need between, so you never really get to be a part of the community. But here, what I love is that it's a relaxed environment. It's like a festival that you get to be a part of, and I actually get to be with you guys. I was coaching a class this morning, and it was just so much fun, and getting to interact without being in a rush and hearing what you guys are doing. And it's so, I've gotten to kind of like grow up in this community. Competed at my first CrossFit Games 2009, and then the community was small, and I've gotten to see it grow, and I've gotten to travel the world. And when I feel a little bit like lost in the world, you go to a CrossFit gym and you have your family there. So that's what I love about being a part of the community, and that's why I love going to these events, because what the community has given to me, I want to be able to give some of that back to people. Like, it means so much to me that we have this family feeling here, whether that's because of CrossFit or because of the people. It's a special thing to get to be a part of, and I think that's what you guys feel as well. That's why you enjoy going to these events and talking with like-minded people. And I know that some people talk about this as a cult, and that has like a negative meaning, but how incredible is it that we're all excited about fitness, that we all enjoy lifting weights, that we all enjoy pushing our limits and becoming better. I'm like, damn, if that's being a part of a cult, I'll be a part of that cult.
Let's go all day. That's good. Yeah, anyone else chime in on that?
Sure. I mean, I think community, I think, is the thing that made me fall in love with CrossFit so much. I mean, I grew up doing wrestling and football, but I used CrossFit to help train for that. I wasn't training to be a games athlete. I was training just to be a better athlete. But, like, I always not dreaded going to wrestling and football practice, but I always looked forward going to the gym after practice, you know? And I think that was always the most fun. I just think about all the random workouts that I got to do with like so many people, doing the class workout, messing around on our hands after class. Man, I think that was just so much fun, and I've always enjoyed it since. I mean, today, we still go to the CrossFit Games and get new movements that come up every single year, and then spend the whole off season trying to perfect them, And I think that's like super cool. And when you go into a CrossFit gym, you see people from like all walks of life doing the same workout. I think that's just something that is super unique and special, and especially for me that I've been doing this for a little bit of time now. When I look to train with somebody, I'm not looking for someone that can necessarily like beat me or push me in a workout. I just want to like look over and see someone else working really hard. And I think that's what you see in CrossFit classes everywhere. And I think that's what why so many people see such good results from just doing a CrossFit class.
Thank you for that.
To make it short, like without community, we wouldn't have the sport that we have right now. So I'm super grateful for all the people that come and watch us, because that means that we have a job at the end of the day. Like we can do what we love, and we can show what we're able to do to everyone. When I think about community, I always think about like the people that come and see us at the games or at events. But community actually is what we're hearing right now. Like there's people working out and doing the competition right there. And I am able to watch them, which is great. Like I can be on both sides. I can be on the side of the athlete, and I can also be on the side of a spectator. And that's what's fun about this community, is everybody can have a taste of either side of the fence, which makes it really the funnest sport to do.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's really cool, right? It's that, we have an opportunity here with just the landscape that we have, is just to create like a pro level event, right? But create that professional experience for everyone. And I think, what the intention was when we designed the event was that let's take what we have in a local CrossFit gym, your typical local CrossFit gym, and the representation of the type of athletes that are there, right? Just take a second, if you can look around and close your eyes and think about, who's represented there. Well, probably about like the 1% is like really, really high level we're training to be. Okay, cool. Well, those are the elite pro level division. Then you got everything else, right? You guys are guys who just walked in and are still learning how to do thrusters, right? And can barely touch their shoulders with the bar, right? We have the open division, the scale division for them. Then you got the masters, and you have teens, and we got the adaptive. And so it's just really cool that we can all come together as one community. But I know besides the community, right, there's other aspects that really attract people to come down to Miami, maybe because you're in a cold weather state. So we're just curious, what is it that you look forward to every year when you come down to this event?
So I think the difference between this event and the games, for example, is that my whole year revolves around the games. That's all of my focus. That's pretty much from when I come home from Wodapalooza. It is focus, it's routine, it's discipline, and that requires sacrifice. And I love, after the games, getting time with my family, with my friends. I get to travel a little more. Training volume is a little less, and then it really ramps back up. And it's all comes to like this pinnacle at the games. So at the games, I'm so focused, and I feel like I need to get off of the venue and really quickly into recovery. And I miss these times where you don't really get to interact and spend time with the crowd. And the crowd is amazing. I cannot tell you guys, especially in like small competition venues, whether it's like the tennis stadium in California, the amount of energy that I get from you guys is, I call it magic. Sometimes I don't even know how I did it, but I did it, and I feel like it's because I'm pulling energy from you guys and you're giving it to me. And so this event, I feel like I do have time to give back. I do have time to stop. I do have time to actually look somebody in the eye and say, hi, nice to meet you. And you have time to stop. And that is so special, and it's just rewarding to be able to build those connections, because I do feel like I'm much more selfish at the games, which I don't love, but for how much I put into it, you feel like you have to do that there. And here, I actually feel like I get to connect, and that's something that...
And that's why they come too, so to be able to connect with you guys. So it's actually a symbiotic relationship where you're giving, but they're also receiving, and vice versa. That's cool. I'm sorry, you girls are like melting over here. Do you want to pull the seats back just a little bit? Yes. Yeah, let's do that. Like, they are made out of ice, guys, you know, frozen. They're like Olaf, melting back there. These guys need a tan. It's good. All right, talk to us, Annie.
Okay.
Oh, that was nice. I'm not made for heat, that's for sure. Do you want me to answer that question?
If you don't mind, just, you know,
I kind of answered it before, but it is just, it's very few competitions I go to where I actually get to see behind the scenes as well, where I get to see, wow, the amount of work that goes into an event like this, the volunteers, the judges. I would not want to be a judge at one of these competitions. I am so grateful for the judges that do this. Because you're supposed to be invisible and then you're doing your job right? And then just getting to kind of like see the competition run. Like honestly, since I remember, I've always just participated in every single competition. I've never really been a spectator. So it's cool to get to experience, to get to be a spectator as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we're grateful that you come and support at that capacity as well. What about you guys? What do you come here for besides the community, the cafecito? What do you look forward to? And the sun that you need to get as well.
Well, I'm here for the sunburn. I was fine in the sun. I've got 3 days to burn and then go back home. But yeah, I mean, every competition we do, we're always stressed to the max. Pressure's through the roof. And when we come here, it's just like this is off season. Training isn't as hard, as difficult as on season, so we're a little bit less stressed from the get-go. And it's just time to give back. Like, I find myself saying no sometimes at the games or at semis, and I just want to go back to the hotel and eat and rest. But here it's time to give back, so if someone asks for a picture, it's yes all the time. And it's just fun also to see the other competitors, like spend some time with them and just be chill. Like, that's what I lived the last year on a team. You're going to do it this year. Like, it's so enjoyable to just rally up with your competitors and just throw down real hard. Like, that's also very fun to do. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. So in terms of, did you want to answer that question? Are you good?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think my first year at the games was 2020. It was a COVID year. There wasn't really any spectators or anything like that. 2021, very different scenario. I was like, you're in the stadium, you won, but you're still very secluded. And I think coming to Wodapalooza was like my first time being like back in the community since having success in the sport. And I competed here from 2016 to 2019. And I just remember walking around, checking out all the vendors, doing all the things. And I was planning on doing that again. And you end up walking around and like every 5-10 feet, someone wanted to like stop, say hi, take a picture. And I was just like absolutely mind blown. I just didn't, like, I was the person walking around and like seeing like Annie and Kat run by, or Noah, or just like anybody. And it was just so weird to kind of have that first experience of being on the other side of that. And it was just so cool. And I wanted to get back. So I remember how awesome it was for like you guys to stop and say, I have pictures, I think with both of you from the games in 2015 when
That's
I
so
volunteered.
cool.
And I got a selfie with them. They definitely didn't remember it, but I like remembered it. And that was like the highlight of that year for me. So I think it's just super cool to be on the other side of that now and hopefully make some of your guys' day.
That's awesome, dude. What a story, right? To like be on one side, be the fanboy, and then now you're like, okay, people want to get my autograph and take pictures with me. That's so cool. Yeah. You as well, Jeff?
Yeah, my first CrossFit crush was it was Pat. Actually, I have a picture with Pat after his first podium in 2016, like at the tennis stadium, and it's crazy to like I'm competing against him now, and we're like buddies, and it doesn't feel true.
Yeah.
Even with Annie. Annie was my first girl crush, of course, and I've had a few pictures with you.
We won't tell Frederick.
A few years in a row. I was trying to get one every year, and now like I'm sitting right beside her here, so it's pretty unreal.
That's
and then
awesome.
you just stopped asking for pictures with me.
He's like, I'm cool now. I made it. I'll take a picture with you on the podium. How about that? That's good. So we can transition into this question, I think is good, right? Because we're talking about like the younger version of ourselves. If there was an opportunity that you could go back and say, I need to tell that younger version of myself something, knowing what you know now, that you've, reached the pinnacle of the sport, what would you tell that younger version of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd tell myself, good job. Like, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I remember I always took CrossFit very, very seriously, sport very, very seriously. I remember in like high school and college, like friends going out to parties and me like, no, I got to train the next day and trying to get to bed between like 9 and 10. And my friends having no idea why, because I'm trying to be a regional athlete kind of thing. And it's super cool to kind of remember the work and like those little sacrifices in the grand scheme of things, doing that, and to be sitting where I am now with all these people and seeing that pay off. And I think that's just, it's pretty cool to kind of like have that experience, I guess.
100%, man. What about you, Jeff? Thank you.
I would probably say run more. But
good job. Run more.
Yeah, it's crazy to like how much we know now and the way that we're training, the way the programming is done, the way I'm doing the workouts is very different than what I was doing 5-6 years ago. And what if I would done that earlier? What would have happened? Would I've podiumed earlier? Won earlier? Who knows? Like, so the only thing I can do right now is the younger people that are trying to make it, I can now like give them these advices, and that's what I enjoy the most. Is like someone like a young guy comes to me and he wants, like he said, I want to be a regional athlete or I want to go to the games. I have so many good advices for them now because of what I know, and I would have loved to have someone tell me back when I started doing CrossFit.
Was to run more, which is the reason why I think a lot of like people got into CrossFit. Is like, oh, there's not a lot of running. I'd love to do that. You're telling myself, nope. You want to be good, you want to be great, run more. Annie, what about you? 'Cause I just have vivid images of you on the rings 2009 and getting, I think it was your first ring muscle up. Was it your first? She got her first ring muscle up at the games. Time out really quick to what you just said, Jeff, was like how you have so much knowledge and wisdom gained from your years of experience. Now the process to get to the games for someone, or maybe not to get to the games, but to be as good as you need to be to get to the games, so to speak, is so much faster because other people have paved the way and they don't have to pay that, let's call it like ignorance tax, so to speak. But back in the day, Annie was learning how to do ring muscle ups at the games. What would you tell that version of Annie?
Wow, I don't know what I would tell that version of Annie, actually. It was like funny hearing you guys say this, and I've been asked this question so often. And obviously, I would like to tell myself before I got greedy and tried to max out my deadlift after PRing my squat at 8 p.m. in the night and herniated a disc in 2013. I'd be like, well, I would like to tell Annie there, not do that. But at the same time, I'm also like, well, if that wouldn't have happened, I don't think I would have realized how important CrossFit was for me, how much I actually thoroughly wanted to compete in CrossFit. So it made me the person I am today. And the same with like when I got my heat stroke, I would like to tell that person, just don't run. Just stay there on the field, get last place in that workout, and I might have been competing with Kat for the first place at the CrossFit Games that year instead of having to withdraw because of a heat stroke. So like, but, well, I would like to have changed that. But I think advice I would give myself is, in the beginning, not to overthink things, not try to think about how long you're gonna do it for. Think about it 1 year at a time where I had to learn it because, yes, I won the games 2012, but I was so miserable for the first half of those CrossFit Games because I felt like anything other than first place would be a failure. I would be disappointing my family, my coaches. I had sponsors for the first time, like everyone that had been supporting me and watching me. So it was just a lot of things to put on a 21-year-old. So me realizing that I didn't stand a chance of winning the games that year gave me some sort of a freedom, and it actually helped me accomplish to win the games because I remembered what I was doing it for. I was doing it because I loved it. I was doing it because of the passion for the sport. So giving my younger self advice, I think it would be true to yourself. Don't try to please everyone because you can't please everyone. And honestly, if I am happy with myself, how I portray myself, and in my own skin, then I can be proud of the person that I am and be proud of who I am representing instead of overthinking what everyone else and comments and all of that. And that's what I feel a little bit for the younger generation coming into the sport. I am in some ways quite grateful that Instagram wasn't there in the beginning. Yes, it would have been a great business opportunity because it probably would have helped me earn more in the beginning of my career. However, if you're not strong and if you don't realize to shut some of these things out, the negativity, and try to see, because there is so much positivity as well. There is so much support that you get. And being able to shut the other things out is something that you need to learn to do. So that's advice that I would give myself earlier on. That was really long.
That was good, though. I mean, it's just you've been in the game for a long time, so you got a lot of wisdom. But I love how you're kind of like, I would tell myself this, but I'd still allow myself to go through this because it actually was formative and shaped me into the person that I am. So I think that's really cool that you embrace those adversities and you saw them as opportunities to help you become who you are. How about you, Kat?
So looking back, I'm honestly really proud of myself. I was so young. I was 18, and I feel like I took some brave decisions. I moved away from home. I was very dedicated. I pursued a big dream. And I look back, and I'm honestly, like, so impressed. But if there's something that I could have told myself to do back then, it probably would have been to slow down a little and focus on the fundamentals. So still today in my career, I wish, like, it's so hard for me now to change my Oli lifting technique and just, like, get the barn better, drive it better up. Like, my gymnastics, I wish I had, like, a tighter, better foundation. And I had so much potential so quick. Within my first 3 months of CrossFit, I was like, I am going to make it to the CrossFit Games. And I did. I put a yellow bracelet on. I saw it. I got one on right now. And I looked at it every single day, every single run interval I did. Every time I was holding a plank, I was going to hold it longer because I was going to make it to the CrossFit Games. And that made me constantly push for a higher snatch. I was snatching 155 so quick, but I was diving under the bar. I look at some of those videos. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, how did I even catch that? But I did, and I got through. And that's also a great skill for an athlete to have, to figure things out and to adapt on the fly. But I think I would have had a way higher ceiling if I would have focused on those fundamentals and taken things slower. I got very excited very fast.
That's good. And that's hard for us to do, right? When you're so driven and you're like, I can do it, and just you want to move fast and you're racing all the time. But just to really lay a solid foundation cannot be overstated. So that's good. We're going to close with this last question, and then we'll pass it on to the crowd for a couple of minutes. As we know, Wodapalooza, one of the reasons why everyone's enjoying it as much as it is not because it's a championship event. Everybody is working really hard to be at the top of the podium, but it's because it's a celebration. And we had to kind of like put some words to that. A celebration of what? It's not a birthday, right? So what is it that we're celebrating? We're celebrating the gift of fitness, that we get to do this. We're celebrating this wonderful community that breathes life, that develops relationships. And then we're celebrating life. Like, we only have one life. And so my last question is, what is going on in your life right now that's worth celebrating and that you want to celebrate here this year right now?
Well, okay, I'll go. I can always talk.
Chatty Annie.
Chatty Annie. I think this time I think me and Kat are celebrating doing something together. We've talked about doing something together for years, and we have done a lot of things. 2 years ago, we used Wadapalooza to tell everyone that we were launching the book that we wrote, What is the Way, a children's book, and that was kind of like our first project that we did together. By the way, one of our absolutely favorite projects and just so close to heart. There was a lot that went into that book. If you read that book, that's like our story in that book. So many feelings, our journey. But yeah, this time around, we've been working on something for a while, something that we've been passionate about. And it will be a big surprise, I think, to a lot of people. I was like, Kat, should we just tell people now? But anyway, so we've been thinking a lot about just like women in sport, and I was so surprised with how little I knew, and then when I started sharing with Kat how little she knew about how to train around her cycle, when we should be competing. I've been very open on my social media with like, why is it like weird to talk about your period and when girls are having their first periods, and how to train and fuel during your cycle and all these different things. It's like, I've never been shy to talk about it, but for some reason people are. And then we got very interested in women that are going through menopause. And I got super passionate about it for my mother, because I was helping my mom and my dad, and I saw the difference that they were getting with the training that I gave them. And it made me so frustrated on her behalf that she wasn't getting the same gains as my dad. My dad got a six-pack during COVID, by the way. And my mom was stricter than he was. So I like dived full on in, and I got Kat. Obviously, we talk every single day, and she needs to hear everything that I'm thinking. And then she had the same things with her own mom. And we saw it was just a neglected group of women that weren't getting what they needed. I've known Dr. Stacey Sims from Australia. If you don't know her women, you should look her up. She's an incredible head of just female training and women in general. But she also has a lot of research and has done a lot of research on women going through menopause. And we've been working for the past year at creating the perfect platform for women that are going through menopause, and that will be launching now, end of January. Training program, nutritional advice, and everything to make that journey good. Yes. Thank you. I'm like very proud and passionate about this. Pregnant and talking about menopause.
That was like the first thing we talked about. So I was like, when did this happen? She was like, well, I was not on the pill when I was. So it's so cool that it comes full circle. Thanks for doing that. That's amazing. Go ahead.
Same. So everything that me and Annie get to do together, that's something that I'll never, ever take for granted, that my best friend is someone that has walked the same path as me in life, and we get to share this. It's the most rewarding path, and it is so hard at times, and to have your best friend have gone through the same things as you and have that understanding. I love that we now get to work together and build something together. And on top of that, I just think life is good.
Yeah.
Life is amazing. I have an awesome family. My boyfriend is the love of my life. We have 2 amazing puppies, and I get to do this, and I get to pursue my dreams every day, and that is something that I will never take for granted, that I get to wake up with a fire in my belly and do some amazing things.
Get after it. Awesome. Thank you. It's contagious. How about you, man?
I think I have something pretty big to celebrate, actually. All the people that are around me, and you guys know, like, to be able to get where we are and what we've done, you're definitely not alone. And I have the greatest team around me. Obviously, like most of you know Caroline, she does everything for me. When we get close to stressful competitions, like I don't do laundry anymore. Like she does everything at home. She does the programming. She does legit everything. I have Mike with me this week. He's taking care of all my schedule, making sure I'm going to the right places. I have Coach Hinshaw, Coach Shane that program for me, and they're so invested in how I perform and how I'm doing. And I think that's worth celebrating. And I'm not the only one. Everyone here has a coach at home, have families that are around you, and these people that put some time and effort to make sure that you're having success is really worth celebrating.
Amen, man. So good.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty similar to Jeff. I mean, I think anybody that ever hears me talk is like, I believe my team's second to none. I mean, they've been with me when I'm at the top and been with me when I'm not. But I think one thing that I've never doubted is like the effort and time that they put in to make sure that I'm the best I can be. And right now, like, I feel awesome, I feel great, and I'm excited just to get back out on the competition floor and compete again. Even though it's on a team, but the season's right around the corner, and I couldn't be more pumped.
So good. Yeah, we're pumped for you. Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. We're going to take a few quick questions. How much more time we got left here, Wex? We're done. Does anybody have a question? You want to raise your hand? We'll take one. Nobody? We answered them all?
We're not
You
that
got one?
interesting.
Yes, sir. We'll get one, Wex. One brave soul.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Appreciate all of you guys. Annie, you've been a huge inspiration to my wife and I. We're 13 years into our CrossFit journey, but you mentioned something that I'm really curious about because we're both in our 60s now, and obviously CrossFit looks a little bit different now than when we started. I'm curious. You said you worked with your parents a lot during COVID. I mean, you talked about your previous self. How do you vision CrossFit at 60? Is it even possible to think about that?
Yeah, how do you envision CrossFit when you're in your 60s? That's such a good question because we want to be doing this forever, right? Thank you for your question. Yeah.
I don't know how I envision it when I'm 60, but I don't know where the sport is going to go. I feel like it's like it got heavier and heavier, faster and faster, more skill, and the athletes are going to continue to do that. But at a certain point, it won't be able to have the same linear progression, if that makes sense. I'm just grateful I've been able to stay along with the curve. I will not say that I'll be competing in Masters because I'm taking 1 year at a time, but I certainly hope that I'll be doing CrossFit for the rest of my life, and I hope that I'm going to be 60 and lifting the weights and doing some sprint interval training and doing some CrossFit classes with my family.
Yeah, it's good. No matter what age, we can be doing CrossFit just with the right approach. Thank you, guys. So we're out of time for questions, so I'll just close by saying thank you. Thanks to the men over here. I really believe that, as I mentioned when we opened, that you guys are role models. You guys are setting the standard for men that are strong, for men that are healthy, and for men that are humble. And I see that in you guys, so thank you for being great ambassadors of this sport.
Yeah, thank you.
And just as I'm a girl dad, I got 3 daughters, beautiful wife at home, and you know, they don't listen to me a whole lot, but if they see beautiful, strong women like you guys, I could just point to you and be like, this is what I want you to be like. And so thank you for being great role models for women out there. We love you guys. All right. We are done. Thank you guys. Have a beautiful weekend. God bless y'all.
Thank
Let's
you.
go.